Italian buses. Some of the most intriguing bus designs of the 20th century came out of Italy. But there was one type that led to one of the most impressive buses built in the 1930s. This is the story of the Lancia Omicron, the bus that almost created a triple-decker. Hi, this is Jeffrey. Now, we all know what great designers the Italians are, and they even applied their fantastic creativity to their buses. Now, back in the first half of the 20th century, there was an automotive company called Lancia. And Lancia, in the late 1920s, developed a new bus chassis called the Omicron. Now, there were several versions of the Omicron, and one version was that of a bus that nearly became a triple-decker. And so this is what we're going to look at in this video. We're going to look at the Omicron bus. We're going to look at all of the various versions that existed, especially the one that almost became a triple-decker. So let's get started in learning about the Lancia Omicron. Lancia was one of Italy's oldest and most innovative automotive companies, which began its existence on November 29, 1906. One of their most well-known bus types was the Omicron, and one version of this bus was simply unforgettable. In 1927, Lancia launched the Omicron project as a new and innovative heavy chassis, furnished with some very modern features for the time. It was to be a chassis developed for bodybuilders for the production of coaches and interurban transport buses. The chassis was to be equipped with a new 7,069 cubic centimeter, 6-cylinder, inline petrol engine, developing 92 horsepower in its first version. This engine had overhead valves directly controlled by two camshafts. The chassis had a load-bearing rear axle, and the floor was lower compared to other chassis of the time. The Omicron was offered in both a short and long version. The short version was designated Type C, while the long version was Type L. There were two version Type Ls, with the largest buses being a staggeringly impressive 2.5 decks, which we will learn more about in a minute. The Omicron turned out to be a great commercial success for Lancia. A total of 601 Omicrons were built, with many different body style variations. Now, let's take a look at some of the basic specifications of the Lancia Omicron. Number 1, length was 8.3 meters for the shorter C version. Number 2, length was 9.53 meters for the longer L version. Number 3, length was 12 meters for the longer L version that was only for the 2.5 deck buses. Number 4, width was 2.4 meters. Number 5, wheelbase was 5.125 meters for the C version and 5.92 meters for the longer 2-axle L version only. Number 6, engines were the Lancia 61 6-cylinder 7,069 cubic centimeter petrol or diesel, and in the mid-1930s, Lancia developed a 5-cylinder diesel engine with a displacement of 6,871 cubic centimeters and developing 93 horsepower. Additionally, from 1935 to 1937, some engines were replaced with the German Junkers 90 engine, including the 2.5 deckers. Number 7, top speed was either 49 or 60 kilometers per hour. The Omicrons were built at Lancia's plant in Turin. From 1911, this production site was also the company's headquarters until it was taken over by Fiat in 1969. Arguably the most impressive of the Omicrons were two buses numbered 3401 and 3403. These were known as Hive cars in Italy, but were a version of the American duplex bus. They seated approximately 81 and were 4.3 meters at the highest part of the bus and weighed 14 metric tons. They were mainly built to serve Rome and its suburbs. Huge as they were, they proved totally unsuitable to operate on the hilly and narrow roads surrounding Rome, and were soon put to other uses. Originally, this type of vehicle was intended to replace the steam tramways, which were struggling after the government dictated major overhaul work to improve urban tram and railway lines. More than a third of the Omicrons were built to serve Rome's municipal transport company, also often known as ATAG, and in total have provided over 2 million kilometers of service, which gave substantial satisfaction to both the transport authorities and passengers of the time. The Lancia Omicron was produced until 1936. A number of them were in service into the mid-1950s. Lancia produced many interesting bus models after the Omicron, including the Esatau and the Esagama, and numerous others. Lancia continued making trucks and buses until 1975, when its truck and bus division merged with Fiat and several other manufacturers to form IVECO. And so ended the unique identity of a bus manufacturer that built one of the most impressive buses of the first half of the 20th century. So there it is, the story of Italy's Lancia Omicron buses. Now to me, Italian buses just don't get the coverage that they deserve, especially of the vintage variety that were built between, let's say, the mid-1920s until the mid-1960s, because very often you come across these old photographs of these Italian buses and you just don't know the story behind them. You just don't know anything about them. So if you know of any other really great Italian buses, just let us know in the comments. Maybe they can be topics for future videos. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this look at the Lancia Omicron buses. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.